Hey guys, my name is Batumio, and today we have learned some really cool new information about what is in the pipeline for Battlefield 4. The first thing that has me all excited is that DICE is going to be reworking the way that the spawn system works when you're spawning in on a squad mate. So you guys have probably had this happen to you a million times in the game. Like honestly, it happens maybe once or twice every single round where you're about to kill an enemy, you've already put a couple of rounds into him, but at the very last second, just as that last bullet is about to take him out, his squad mate pops out of his ass and just appears directly behind him. He, of course, has that brief spawn immunity. He can look around, he can kind of see what's going on, and then you try to take him out, of course, but because he's spawn immunity, you then just waste all of the rest of your rounds in your primary magazine. You have to switch it over to your secondary. He has a huge advantage over you, and then he just slaps you around with his assault rifle, and then you're back at the spawn screen. It sucks when it happens, and honestly, it happens way too often in Battlefield 4. And so what DICE is going to be doing to try to eliminate this problem, or at least alleviate it to the point where it doesn't happen as frequently, is that they are going to make it so that if a target is suppressed, the squad mate won't be able to spawn in on them. This sounds very reminiscent of what the Medal of Honor Warfighter system worked. If you've never played that game, which you probably haven't because it wasn't all that successful, but it had an amazing spawning system, at least when you were spawning in on your squad mate. The way it worked is that if you were in the middle of the action, or at least you just started to get into a firefight with someone, your squad buddy, who just died a couple seconds later, couldn't spawn in directly on you. The only way for him to spawn on in was for you to try to get away from the action for a good couple of seconds, and then it would indicate to your buddy that he could spawn on in. It was amazing. It required teamwork on both people to kind of indicate what the hell was going on. It required a little bit more interaction between the squad mates, and I loved it. That was actually probably one of the best aspects of Medal of Honor Warfighter, and while it doesn't appear to be 100% what they're going for with Battlefield 4, it's kind of hard to say because they haven't actually added it in on the CTE server. If they're able to make it anything close to that, I think it's going to be a great improvement. I know that some people might be a little upset by this news because they love the way that the current spawn system works, but at least from my viewpoint, and I think a lot of other Battlefielders out there, if you're in a situation where you see an enemy, he's all by his lonesome, you've accounted for all the other variables around you, you know that there isn't anyone else in the wing, when all of a sudden a random variable pops up where another player comes out of nowhere, something that you couldn't have accounted for, and it becomes a 2 versus 1 or even a 3 versus 1, that's frustrating. That doesn't seem like the best game design, and so overall, at least if they implement it correctly and it's well done, I think that this is going to be a phenomenal addition into Battlefield 4. Another amazing change is that DICE wants to give more points to transport helicopter pilots who are actually acting as transport helicopter pilots. We don't know the exact mechanism on how this is going to work because once again, it's not on the CTE server, but at least from the description that we've gotten so far, it looks like DICE just wants to give these pilots points for getting their teammates over to certain objectives. It could be that you have to be directly over the objective for you to get the points. Maybe you just have to be in the direct vicinity of a capture point, or maybe if they just jump out wherever on the map, acting as a transport helicopter pilot, who cares if it's around an objective, at least they're getting out where they want to get, then you'll get points that way. Whatever the case, this is going to be amazing, and hopefully it will incentivize pilots not to jump out where they want to go, leaving everyone to perish or fall to the ground, not realizing what's going on, and just exploding in a nice fireball. Not only that though, but hopefully it would also get those amazing pilots that I know that are out there that love to fly around in transport helicopters but probably don't do it all that often because they don't get rewarded for doing that task to come out of the woodwork and start to influence the way that matches progress. A good transport helicopter pilot will be amazing for your team. Like I've had some rounds where it was clear that that one player actually won us the entire round because he was getting us to objectives, he was lining up the miniguns to take out other air vehicles or also just the people on the ground, and it really is an amazing feat when you come across one of these pilots. So hopefully we will have more teamwork here. It will incentivize more people to stay in the pilot and not just use this as a taxi for just one player. And so if implemented correctly and done right, I think that this is also going to be amazing. The last thing that I wanted to mention today is that DICE has cleaned up the HUDs for a lot of the vehicles in the game, and the one that's the most obvious is the jets. One of the biggest reasons why I usually don't fly around in one of these vehicles is, well, first of all, I suck. Like, I'm terrible in a jet. But also, I have no idea what all the numbers are indicating because you can't even see them half the time. Like, if I want to get that optimal turn speed, I basically have to guess at what the numbers are showing on this screen. Like, you can't see, especially if you're like in the middle of the clouds or you're looking at like a white surface or something like that, forget about knowing what those numbers are even saying. And while this change probably won't have that large of an impact on people that have been flying in jets since day one's the gods of the sky because they have it down to hard science and probably just can feel how fast they're going, for someone like me or newer players or really just someone who sucks in a jet but wants to learn and get better, this will finally allow them to get that optimal turn speed. You can even see where you're shooting even before you shoot, and so in general this is going to be a great addition to jets overall. But yeah guys, that is about it for this little update. I was really excited when I learned about it, so I thought you guys would as well, so I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about these new features. Do you love the idea of finally getting rewarded to play as a transport helicopter? It is your dream to be a transport helicopter and you're so happy that they're going to be rewarding you now? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.